Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. And here's an example. Looking at villages and people writing about the English village. There's one writer that I want you to know about. Her name is Flora Thompson. And she wrote a series of 3 books. She was born in 1877, so she lived in the First World War. She was 40 years old, and she lived another 30 more years till 1947. She wrote 3 books that were published. Lark Rise in 1939, Over to Candleford, 1941, and Candleford Green, 1943. And they were issued together as Lark Rise to Candleford in 1945. Well, this edition is an illustrated edition. And what they've done, and I think wisely so, is they have edited to try to keep the emphasis and the flavor of what it was. Because in the latter 2 books, it's getting into more modern times. And so they've taken that liberty to do that. There's some passages I thought I might read from this, but I tell you what I'm going to do is, these were hard times. Sometimes families, 10, 12 children living in very small accommodations, and life was not always easy, and many characters. This is an illustrated edition of her 4th book, which was published in 1948, a year after she died. It's called Still Glides the Stream. And I'd like to read a little bit to give you a sense of her power of observation, her awareness of nature, and her and the characters. So, there are many trees, and that's why I chose this passage. Apple and plum and damson trees in the cottage gardens. Laburnums and lilacs at cottage gates. And everywhere in the hedgerows, wide-spreading oaks and elms. Around a roadside pond, halfway up the village street, stand old pollard willows, the trunks hollowed by time to mere shells in which the children of the village hide. But every tree with its living topknot of silvery green leaves. A few white Aylesbury ducks still frequent this pond, though not so many as in former years, when, towards nightfall, little girls with light switches in their hands would go to the ponds and call for those belonging to their families. Dilly, 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 they would call, and the ducks would scramble up the bank, and with many a backward glance from their cunning little eyes, they would form 2 lines and waddle off, one fowl up and the other down the street. It was as the children had said, hard to tell which was whos'ns, and the ducks knew to whom they belonged. In 2s and 3s, they would break from the rank and make for the garden gate, which led to the shed where they knew they would find their troughs, in their troughs, a delicious mess of mashed potatoes and brewer's grain. Those were the mass-minded ducks. One old drake, a strict individualist, had deserted the flock, having become so enamored by his mistress that he followed her out of doors like a dog, and when she was at home, kept guard at the doorstep. His devotion had so endeared him to the woman that she could not bear to think of him in conjunction with sage and onions. And Mrs. Rouse, going to the well with her bucket suspended by the yoke from her shoulders, closely followed by her adoring Benny, as she had named him, was for years one of the sights of the village. So a village way of life with idiosyncrasy among adults and among ducks. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.